Hi everybody, your girl Tisha here. Welcome to the first episode of Woman to Woman. And I asked you guys to guess who my very first special guest is, and it is none other than the beautiful Miss Jenaye Nicole. You may have seen her TikTok video that went viral like many times over because our dear sister was willing to put a very real face to the initial reaction, to the shock, to the disbelief, to the hurt of finding out that your spouse is cheating on you.
Well, Jenaye says when she posted her emotional video, she never imagined it would be viewed over 3.6 million times.
So, this is what being cheated on looks like by your spouse. I hurt so bad. I feel so gross. I'm mortified for my kids. And I just keep finding out more and more information. And it just keeps getting worse and worse. Don't do this to your spouse. Don't cheat on them. Don't destroy your family. Don't lie. It breaks people.
Very brave. And then, of course, I'm sure all of you saw her when she confronted her husband's mistress on the Dr. Phil show.
But here's my thing. My husband's name is James, and her name is Chelsea. If you don't want people to know your names, don't cheat.
So, Chelsea, the girl that my husband got with, came to my home where my babies were sleeping last night and TP'd and egged it.
And the girl he cheated with, Chelsea. Yes, I'm going to say her name because there's millions of Chelseas.
She knew that people posted my first and last name, my address to my work, my phone number. She knew that. You know, I mean, it's just crazy that you would think that that's okay and that I deserve that. I'm not married to you. I'm single.
I don't think you are, but I believe in karma, and I think
I
this
believe
is it.
Yes, honey, and I believe in karma too. So you'll get yours.
Thank you so much for coming to do this for me, Jenaye.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it
Of
so
course,
much.
it was meant to be. I was down the road.
So crazy. Yeah, so crazy. So like what happened is I DM'd her, asked her to read and review my book, and she kindly said she would. And then, of course, me, I had to take it a little further, and I was like, excuse me, can I interview you? And that was even after her TikTok video where she basically told all of us, this book is closed, I'm not talking about this anymore. I was like, well, we won't have to talk too much about that, but maybe we could just focus on the book. And as you see, she's lovingly said yes, and she's here. And she's actually breaking the book back open for this. So why don't you let your viewers know quickly, like, why you decided, hey, I'm going to open the book back up a little bit here.
I decided to come here and talk about it mostly because people don't talk about it. Like, I feel like it's something that should be talked about, and if TikTok was more kind, trolls, I'm talking to you, then I would continue to talk about it. And I mean, I probably will as time goes on. It was just so raw and happening, and unfortunately, after the Dr. Phil show aired, things kind of got taken out of context, which we'll go into. And so I decided I'm just going to shut off the comments, and I'm just going to be like, this book is closed for now. I'm going to focus on other things, other videos. But I'm happy to talk about what happened because I think more people need to. And there needs to be a voice, and I believe that if people do things, they need to be held accountable and called out for it. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm really glad you reached out.
Oh, thank you so much. So, and of course I mentioned my book. I didn't even say what it is. I am the author of the recently released memoir. It's called Woman to Woman, Letters from Wives to Mistresses. And it's a book that's based on my interactions with my ex-husband's mistress at the time. And what she said to me, and when I confronted her politely, I know the word confrontation has a negative connotation, but when I went to her to get the truth from her, what she said to me when she said that woman to woman, I just want you to know, can't tell you all everything she said because it's unbelievable, and it's a reveal in the book what she said to me. But if we hear a woman say, look, woman to woman, I want you to know, it's completely reasonable to think that those words might be followed up with some words of sympathy, remorse.
You think.
You think. So my ex-husband's Mistresses words to me blew my mind, and they're going to blow your mind when you read it and find out what she said and why woman to woman had to be written. So, Jenaye, when I saw your TikTok video, I literally bawled because I know that pain. So too many of our sisters know that pain. Was there any thought that made you say, I need to record this? Were you already recording? Like,
nope. And I was like, I had like 100 followers on TikTok, like just my friends and family. I had 100. Like no one knew who I was. I was like, tra la la. I'm just gonna post this.
oh my God.
And I did it because some of the people, I moved states from Washington State to Texas. So I was new to Texas and I didn't know anybody. And so some of my friends and family follow me on TikTok to see what's going on, some Instagram, some Facebook. So I was so hurt and I was so upset, and my mom was on vacation with her boyfriend, and I didn't want to ruin that. I mean, that's supposed to be like a joyous time. They're like traveling across the country, like enjoying summer. And my kids were asleep. I was alone, and I was like, that's it. Like, I'm done covering this up for my husband. I'm done acting like he didn't do anything.
Don't we protect them?
We do, because we don't want people to say, oh, well, then you shouldn't be with him. Oh, well, then, you know, basically, he's an awful person. Like, all of these
You don't
things.
want that.
Because you still care about them.
Absolutely.
You still love them. So, like, it's very
Absolutely.
hard to find that place where you're finally ready to be like, nope. Here's what actually happened, here's what took place, and welcome to my real life, not on social media.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing, is people want to make it beautiful, and my life's so amazing.
Yeah.
Everybody's life is great, for the most part.
And
but
that's
there's
why
bad
social
days,
media is
too.
fun, because you can kind of escape for a little bit.
Exactly.
On social media.
I will tell you, I never in a million years thought that the thing that would make me viral is me ugly crying. And I will say that, ugly crying. Like, because I had just found out my husband was cheating on me, and I was like, I was hysterical. Like, I was, and it is real. Like, I'm really crying. It's not staged.
Oh,
it's
it
not,
didn't look like it.
And instantly, like, it started to blow up on all forms of social media because, one, if you know me in real life, I'm not an emotional person like that. I'm not a crier.
Okay.
So my friends and family were like, oh my gosh. Like,
Yeah.
some of them were like, I've never even seen you cry. Wow. Like, let alone cry like that. Like, but I don't believe in hiding stuff, and I think that you should know all the facts.
Right.
Try to find out stuff. Now, I will say that someone gave me some good advice, like, stop digging. There is a point where you get to digging too much, because it doesn't.
If you're searching, you're going to find something.
Exactly, and it doesn't help you. It more hurts
It doesn't. It does. I agree, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah, that video broke my heart. But then I was also proud of you at the same time, because again, you put a very real face on it.
Yeah.
You know, that adultery stuff is not like, you know, soap opera with a few tears and no.
No.
It is
You feel broken.
broken is
Yes.
the perfect word.
You feel like you got just thrown to the bottom of the pit, and they're like, get up. But it doesn't work like
Yeah.
that. I mean, it takes time. I will say, the only positive about it, which a lot of people disagree with, because a lot of people commented, again, mostly trolls, that say, you know, lots of people feel don't air your dirty laundry. Well, unless you've lived it, it's very hard to say that. And if you have lived it and feel that way, to each their own.
Yeah,
That's how I am.
absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
I'm that person that I was like, you know, I want to share. I want other people to know they aren't alone. And so I did share it, and I got a good reaction from it. But it was just something that I felt needed to happen. Like, I honestly, it was just a spur of the moment kind of thing. Like, I wasn't like, today I'm going to post this. Like, I went up to the room, and I was like, this is it. Like, I have to do this. Like, I feel so alone. Like, I don't know who to call. I don't know who to text. Like, let's just put this out there. and see what we get.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it was well received. I'm not joking, I think like 1,000 messages to reply to. Of either people who have been cheated on, both men and women, kids who have watched their parents be cheated on, and then men who have cheated.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yes. I will tell you that I don't think I got, maybe I got one or two, but I don't recall any messages from mistresses.
Yeah, I've gotten those. Most of the messages I get from them is them being mad at me for blaming them for the adultery. And, you know, that's the thing about my book, Woman to Woman, which I'm sure you got to since you read it, that it's not in any way trying to take away from the husband's responsibility.
Nope, and I said that, yes.
Yeah, it's just a book that's for us only.
Yes.
Because to me, what needs to change is our dynamic.
Absolutely.
And figuring out why we're okay with being a part of such of a destructive behavior. And to figure out why in 2021, women are still so willing to throw another woman into that deep abyss. An abyss that probably almost all of us, if we're adults,
Yes.
have felt that pain. And so why we're so willing to still do that to each other. So that's why I wrote Woman to Woman, so that I could talk to my sisters and say, hey, we're the ones that need to fix this, but we can't fix it if we won't talk about it. So that's why I wrote the book, to start this long overdue, yes, uncomfortable conversation with each other. And so that's why I love that I was able to gather letters, real life letters from wives.
Yes, they are real.
And real life letters from mistresses for this book, where they are, in essence, talking to each other.
And I'm so glad you did, because, and I've said to people before, and I think I've said in some of my TikToks, there's so many little that's the problem, is if you haven't been cheated on, you don't understand that it's not black and white. There's so many little itty bitty factors that go into it. So every single story is the same but very different.
Exactly.
So we all have it in common, but there's 1,000 factors that go into it. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, some of the mistresses that wrote letters for the book are very remorseful. They give you very detailed, like, how it happened. But then there are some mistresses that were just remorseful and kind of generalized it and didn't get into detail because they didn't want to hurt wives. You know, and then you have the wives. All the wives were very open, very detailed in the book. But that conversation is very real. And I wanted to talk to you in person because, again, you're a real person. You're not social media, Jenaye. You're a wife.
Yeah.
You're a mom.
Exactly.
You're our sister. And we have got to start doing better by one another. So what were your thoughts of the book, if you don't mind saying?
Well, I don't want to tell your story because I want them to read it. But I will say that I'm glad you wrote it because, as I said, there's different kinds of people, and this shows that there are the different levels. Because, you know, mistress, people always say, well, mistress, that's bad, but not all mistresses are bad,
right?
Because there's some who are, I mean, we're all human, but have more of hearts. They're like, I'm so sorry, and I had no idea. And, you know, is there anything I can do? I mean,
what do you want to know?
Yeah.
And, you know, can I help you? Yeah, and that's why I differentiate between the three different type of mistresses.
Exactly.
There's the mistress who starts out not knowing.
And I love that
as soon
because
as she
people
found
don't
out,
understand there's different levels.
she's done.
Yeah.
Then there's the mistress who's the mistress unknowingly. She finds out he's married, but then she justifies why she should stay.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, number 3 mistress is my ruthless mistress, the women who intentionally seek out married men.
So it's a game.
So you all just know, I do understand that all mistresses don't know. And so I do talk about the 3 different types in the book.
And I do like that, I mean, it's talked about, but I understand from reading this book, from being in the situation, that, and I don't think a lot of people do, which is why people get upset, when she's talking about this or I'm talking about this and we're talking about a mistress, that in no way, like the women in here talk about the wives especially, and mistresses, we're not ignoring that this man has done this.
At all.
That's not happening.
Can we say that again?
Yeah.
Not
No.
at all.
No.
No, it's time for us to talk.
Yes, because that, and like you said, you're 100% correct in your book in saying that's what's going on. Is this is never the conversation.
Never,
Ever.
ever,
No.
ever. And I did a TV interview a few weeks ago for the morning after show in
Yeah, I
Texas.
saw that.
Oh, it was so great. But she asked a really good question, and so did Jules Laval of Formidable Woman magazine. Thank you, Jules, and Morning After Show. But they asked really good question. Why, what makes my book unique? What more can be said about the mistress? We've literally known about the mistress since literally pre-Christian times. I even
Yes.
talk about that in the book.
Yeah.
But something fundamental has changed. The mistresses of 2021 know today what mistresses of times past didn't. And that's that they hold all the power in these relationships.
Correct.
They hold the power, and because of that shift, that means our perspectives on the relationships have to shift. So it's not just about the husband to wife betrayal anymore.
Yeah.
Now it's about the woman to woman betrayal. And that's what's never, ever been dealt with. The betrayal that in this thing we call sisterhood,
People don't want to talk about it, and that's the problem. Is they instead, if you even bring it up, because like I did in my videos, I got slaughtered by the trolls because
And it's mostly women, right? Am I right?
yes,
Yep.
almost. I think it's 100%
100%?
women.
Yes.
actually.
Yes. What and why? And why, we talked about this a little bit before the interview. Like, why is so taboo still to blame the other woman as though she has no? We're talking about a mistress that knows he's
Yes,
married.
knows he's married.
Why does she have no responsibility in it? But then you'll get people saying, "Well, of course. I mean, she's responsible for what she did, but it's still the husband who has the obligation." Okay, again. We're not talking about the husband this time.
Yes, we're talking about the woman, and the problem is as we talked about before, we're all adults. Like these are not teenagers writing in this stuff. It's adults.
Yeah.
Okay, so like we've all lived and learned. So we're responsible as adults for our own actions. Therefore,
Exactly.
even if you didn't mean to, just like I teach my tiny children, if you didn't mean to, it's not going to hurt you to say, "I'm so sorry. I should have handled that a different way. That shouldn't have taken place," instead of, "Not my fault."
Yeah, I remember when
Sorry.
Chelsea, when you were on the Dr. Phil show, my blood was already boiling because I didn't like her attitude. Because I'm sorry, I think we owe each other so much more as women. And again, we talk about sisterhood, and to me, right now, sisterhood is a facade. It's this thing we hold up for the world to see, but behind the scenes, it's a mess.
Yes.
In the back, it's a mess. And when Chelsea said on the Dr. Phil show, she said, Dr. Phil was asking her, I think, "Do you want to apologize for?" And she
Yeah.
was like, "I didn't do anything wrong." I was like, "You admitted you knew he was married, so what do you mean?"
And that's just it. Is I had when her friends called me and left the lovely voicemail, they left me, and then they started texting me. I had said to them, I haven't talked to her, first of all, since the day I found out, and second, all I've ever wanted since day one was just an apology. I mean, I don't need her to shout it from the rooftops, but I was like, she could have texted me, she could have called me. I said anything, and she just, I don't know.
Went the other way with it.
Absolutely. I don't understand how that's hard. I mean, I'm different. Like, I can be like, "You know what? I'm sorry that you felt the need to do that and you felt that that was okay. I'm sorry that if he did tell you we were separated, that he told you that."
Right.
Like, I'm able to say it.
Right.
Like, because I in no way am trying to, like, ruin her life. Like
Right.
people think I'm trying to do.
Right.
I just said her name because I believe that they cheated, and it's not a secret. It shouldn't be a secret.
Right.
Like, I don't
And-
want this to happen to anyone else, and I am not the first woman.
Right. And my thing of it is if you're bold enough to do it, then be bold enough to stand by it.
Yes.
So, and if you can't stand by it, then to me, that makes you a coward.
Yeah.
If you can't stand, but the problem is you can't defend the indefensible.
Yeah.
You can't justify the unjustifiable. There's no good reason to sleep with another woman's husband knowingly. None, zero. I don't care what he says. I even have some pointers in there of like, what, you know, when men say this, what do they mean?
Well, I don't know if they cut it. I didn't watch. Okay, I'm just gonna let everyone know. I did not watch the Dr. Phil show because I lived it, so I didn't feel like I needed to watch it. So I don't know what they cut in and out or whatever. But when I was talking about it, and we were having that conversation, and I was like, you know, you met him at a like. First of all, she'd been cutting his hair for months, so she knew.
She knew he had a family.
She for sure knew he had a family, and her claim was that he said he was like single or whatever, and she's like, what, am I supposed to ask for divorce papers? No, but if you go on his social media, like, we had just been on vacation for our...
If you want to know,
like,
it's so easy to find out.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, is if you want to... I just feel like women need to be more careful this day and age about what they're doing if you don't want to come off the wrong way. If that's what she wants to claim, even though I don't agree, if that's what she wants to do, then actually look people up. Because the second I met him, I looked him up on social media because I wanted to like know like more about him. So like that's what's confusing to me is like when people are like, no, why would I do that? Because one, you're protecting yourself. You're making sure, like you're double checking. Like the world today is insane.
And that's why another reason why I wrote Woman to Woman to again get this conversation started, have a real conversation about it, so that we can come together and fix this. I am all about, as I say a lot in my book and on my postings, healing our fractured sisterhood. It is fractured.
Yes.
And it is fractured because this whole, you know, calling each other sis, sister, queen, that doesn't mean anything to me if you're willing to help tear apart my family.
I agree.
That means nothing. Don't call me that if any part of you feels like that behavior is okay. It's not okay to sleep with another woman's husband. I don't care what he tells you. And like I say in the book, a man is married until he's not.
And that's exactly it. There's a lot of debate on one of my posts that I did about that, because I was talking about cheating. I firmly believe, like, not cheating, when it's okay to, like, see somebody else or, like, say, I firmly believe, and I know there's a lot of different opinions on this, until you're legally divorced, you're not single.
You're not single.
You are not single.
Right.
You are still attached to someone else.
You can't change the definition of stuff just because it suits your agenda.
Yes.
Now, if the husband and wife agree that they're getting a divorce, it ain't going to get better, and they decide, and again, you know, I'm not trying to be all up in everybody's business.
Yes.
That is a choice, but I'm talking about, like in my instance, where my husband was going back and forth. So there was still an opportunity for us to fix it. That's very difficult to do when you have another woman's stuff all up in his face all the time, and she's pretending to be the woman that he has told her his wife is not.
Yes.
So, and I talk about that in the book, that Mistresses literally, I don't know why women act like we don't know our seduction game is hard. It's tough. We know how to seduce. We know how to manipulate. We basically know how to get what we want from a man. And if that means becoming everything that his wife isn't, or what she thinks she isn't, then she will, even if it goes against who she is. If she doesn't like porn, but this married man does, she's going to watch the porn.
Yep.
If this married man wants a threesome, but that's completely against who she is, but she wants him, guess what? She's having a threesome. Our seduction game is hard. We know how to get what we want.
And what's unfortunate about that is if he's... Okay. You can't pretend to be something you're not, because the women who do that, and if you are a mistress watching this and you did end up with that man and now you're having issues, you cannot pretend to be something, because it only lasts for so long.
Like, it's a facade.
It's going to run out.
Yep. Yep. And I've kind of heard rumblings of issues, and because my ex-husband was one of the rare, and it is rare, ladies, very rare, when the husband marries the mistress. but he got her pregnant.
Okay.
Wow, well, you know that. Got her pregnant while we were married, only a few months after I had suffered my last miscarriage. But he did go on to marry her, and you hear things about what's going on with him. I don't care. You reap what you sow.
Yep.
But my issue more again is the woman to woman dynamic and what we can do to fix this issue. And it is going to take talking about it. It's not going to be fixed in a 60-minute show where you get 32 minutes, and really when you narrow it down between the host chatter and the other people chatter, you get like 7 minutes to tell your to really tell your side of the story. Was there anything when you did, either in your TikToks or when you were on Dr. Phil, anything that you wanted to say that you felt like you didn't get to say, or anything you wanted to elaborate on?
No, I mean, as I said before, I got a lot of people who wrote me after the show, and they were so upset that I was like having that conversation with Chelsea and not saying anything to James. But remember, everyone, we live in the same house, so I talk to him every single day.
All the time.
And we're in therapy, family therapy, so we can co-parent for our kids no matter the outcome of the situation. So it's a constant. I had just seen this woman for the first time ever on stage, on camera, never said a word to her other than the phone call we had the day I found out. I had never texted her since, nothing.
Wow.
So everyone was very heated and was like, that was so we did an interview with a therapist who asked James and I to talk about the situation, and we did an interview with him like on his podcast, and he was saying like the comments on YouTube were like, it should have been named The Psycho, the Man, and the Mistress. Like for me, and I was like, you know what, that's okay. Like if honestly people think that, because I would love to see anybody else in that spot and be like just calm, cool, and collected, sitting feet from the person that slept with their husband, that's just like.
Then you would have been proud of me, sis, because if you read when I saw our car parked in her driveway and I went and knocked at the door.
I mean, you handled that way better than I would have.
So calm. I in my mind, I mean, that was who I was truly, but I was also very conscious of the fact that I needed her to know in that moment, I'm just going to say it, that I was better than her.
Yeah.
In that moment, I needed her to know I had more class than her, I had better morals than her, that I was better than her in that moment.
I mean, I thought I had proved that already by just not talking to her again. Like, leaving it be, like, moving on with my life. But that wasn't the case because she egged and TP'd my house days later. And then called me a month late, like had her friends call me a month later. So like just kept dragging it on.
out.
And so that's when I was like, that's when I didn't care on the Dr. Phil. Like I had gone in there thinking everybody that I was going to be like, so like, like at
but
peace,
I think
like
you
together.
were.
Like, I mean, I thought so. I mean, I got upset about stuff, but you, like I said, you guys
you're
have to
human.
realize, and it's edited to make it more dramatic. So you have to understand that, and I think people forget that. It's
I don't know how, but you're absolutely. And I also think people see what they want to see. They hear what they want to hear.
Oh, absolutely, because there's people who totally see it like you and are like, I think you handled it great. And there's other people who are like I said, the psycho, the man, and the
But maybe
mistress,
it's my
I'm like,
perspective as a
whatever.
wife or as an ex-wife. You know what I mean?
Yes.
To me, you handled that. You handled that really well. To me,
I thought I did too. I didn't think that there's anything I would have changed. I mean, I probably would have been more quiet on some of the things she said, but I'm totally that person that I have a hard time biting my tongue.
well,
So-
and because again, as women, we need each other to be accountable for our choices,
Yeah.
and that's really all Woman to Woman is about. That's what this conversation is about. That's what the symposiums that we'll be doing are going to be about. Is holding not just other women accountable, just ourselves.
Yeah, and you do. I mean, you have to be mature enough to
You do.
be able to be like, this is what happened. I'll take responsibility for my part in
We're
it.
not asking Chelsea or my ex-husband's mistress to take responsibility for what he did.
Oh, no.
We're not asking Chelsea or my ex-husband's mistress to take responsibility for what I did or didn't do in my marriage. All we're asking you to do is accept responsibility for what you did.
Yeah,
That's it.
There's. I mean, and you should be able to
And they
as an adult.
won't. And they won't. For her to say I didn't do anything wrong, what are you? Then where's your boundary then? Where's your moral boundary? If that's not wrong, and you knew he was married, then what is
I
your
don't
boundary?
think there is one though, because I think, like you said, there's women in this book who just go for men who they. I think she thought he had money because he drives a Tesla. Joke's on you. Because we don't. Yeah, like I mean, that's what I've been told. That's kind of the guy she goes for, and I'm sure that's why she went for James, because James talks a big game.
Mm-hmm.
And
Charmer.
yeah, and I mean, see, that's the difference, is like, that's what's interesting, is if you know me in real life, I could care less what people drive.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I'm not about
Right.
stuff like that, so like, it's interesting because it happens a lot that men tend to go for your polar opposite, which is very interesting because it is the Marilyn and, Jackie O thing. That's what they think they want, but they don't want that
Yep.
for their kids and their mother.
They don't.
Yeah.
My ex-husband, he wanted to keep me. The sad part of it is the mistress wasn't the consolation prize, though I was.
Yeah.
Should have been the top prize.
Yes.
I was even willing, as you know, I don't mind giving a little from the book, that when I found out she was pregnant, when he came and told me she was pregnant, I still offered to stay in our marriage and to help him raise his baby. I had lost so many of our babies due to miscarriage, and I'm not a person that's going to take that out on a child
Yeah.
and I was willing to sacrifice to keep our marriage together. Just so much stuff, and that was another reason I wrote the book, is because I don't really think mistresses have had anyone really give them the other side, and my book gives my story. Like,
Yeah.
you, to me, like I even say on the back of the book, mistress or wife, you really come away not having a choice but to put yourself in my shoes or in these wives' shoes. Or unless you're just dead inside, literally.
Exactly. That's
Unless
what
you're
I was
just
gonna say.
dead.
Because you do feel emotional reading the book, and like that's, I'm sure, what you wanted to get out of it. You want people to feel that emotion, and like, especially if you have been a mistress or are currently a mistress, to be like, I should probably stop because this is how people are feeling.
And I'm adding to that.
Yeah.
I'm contributing to that. See, contributing. It's not all her.
No.
But we are a factor. And I really wrote Woman to Woman, even though it does take the mistress to task. It really is a book about sisterhood
Yeah.
and how we can heal it, why we need to heal it, and what we can do individually to heal it. And so for my part, it's, being honest and admitting, as I do in the book, guess what? I'm a problem in our sisterhood.
Yeah.
I am a problem. I have certain views of women, thoughts of women. I'm not a mean girl.
Yeah.
But I can, it's funny, I was doing a Clubhouse talk some weeks back, and we had the best conversation because it kind of went off into individual responsibility within the sisterhood. How are you the problem? I'm going to be doing another Clubhouse talk where we're really going to talk about, are you a problem in the sisterhood? If you are, what is it, and what are you trying to do to fix it? So I admitted how I'm a problem. I have never really cared about the royal family at all. Not when I liked Princess Diana, but it didn't affect me.
Yeah.
Didn't care. But as soon as I heard, I'm about to admit this out loud, as soon as I heard that Prince Harry was like pulling away from his family to be more with Meghan, do you think I blamed him? I instantly blamed Meghan.
I was gonna say, yeah. Well.
Instantly! It was her fault. What was she doing? She's tearing up the royal family. She's causing problems. And I literally had to stop. Like, I had a conversation with myself out loud like a crazy person. I was like, Tisha, first of all, you haven't cared about the royal family at all. Now all of a sudden, and it's her fault because he's not uber smart and uber intelligent and couldn't just be trying to protect his family from what happened to his mom. No, it's all the woman's fault. She's manipulating him. And I have to stop and figure out why my thoughts immediately went there. And I'm working on that still.
It's hard because you have to reprogram your entire brain, because we all have something that we think of like that. I mean, I have to stop myself. I'm not a bully by any means, but there are things that I'll say that can be snooty or snobby about other women that I shouldn't, and I have 2 girls. So I have to really be aware of it, because when I'm with them, I don't want them to hear me say it and then think that that's appropriate to do.
Good for you.
So like
Good
that's
for you.
what's changing me is
Good for you.
I
And it's
don't want
important.
my kids to do that, because I don't want them to be mean, and I want them to respect other women. I mean, I've definitely, as I'm sure we all have, matured since we've been teenagers.
Yeah.
I was a lot worse as a teenager. But, you know, I just wish that it was different, and I wish that more people would talk about it like we have, and I hope that people do, because it's not gonna make the world end by talking about the things
And
that
being
people
honest
do.
about it.
Yeah.
And being honest about it from woman to woman. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't, you know, strengthening our sisterhood and healing our sisterhood does not mean we're going to agree on everything. Does not
No.
mean we're
No.
going to be besties. No, all it means is we're going to come to this understanding. We're going to get back to girl code.
Yeah,
We're
which
gonna-
doesn't exist anymore, by the
It
way.
barely exists, right. And look, and we're not saying there are no genuine female friendships out there. I'm sure there are.
There are.
I have a couple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But to me, just in general, sisterhood is fractured. And I think it's important for us to have honest conversations about the things that we do to each other and take the man out of it for the
Yeah.
moment, because that's for the wife to deal with.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying? Or for the man to deal with, or the men to get together and deal
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
But we can only talk to each other and say, hey, like you said, hey, I'm sorry I did this. You know, are you okay? What can I do? You know, hey, I found out he was married, sis, I'm sorry I stopped it. But if you want to know, I'm willing to let you know what he said to me,
Yeah.
you know, what he did, so you can look out for these things. You know, those types of conversations. I need us to sit down with each other and be real
And-
with
and-
each other.
I think that a lot of women, as I was before all this took place, would probably be afraid to have those conversations, because the truth can hurt you, but it also helps you because you grow from it. So
You
like
do.
I mean, I will say that if I had not done this and posted about it, I wouldn't be where I am today, and I wouldn't know what I know, and, you know, I wouldn't feel that I don't feel alone, because I had all those
You're
people
not.
reach out.
You
and
are
like,
so not alone.
that's the thing, is I think so many women do, and that is what I've had women write me to say, you know, my husband did this so long ago, or this is how my husband cheated. I mean, some of these women wrote me and didn't find out until their husbands had passed,
Oh,
and these women wanted to
boy.
come to the funeral. Yeah.
I've heard of that.
Mhm.
Not that, you know, same story, but I've heard of the other woman wanting to come and
This is a real story someone said to me.
I believe
Yeah,
it.
and she was just like, I didn't know you existed. So, yeah.
Oh my
And I'm just like,
gosh.
uh,
and so see, there are again those mistresses that don't know. They
Yes.
are innocent. There
Yes.
are innocent mistresses.
Yes.
We're talking about the ones who justify staying with a married man, and we're talking about the ones who go after married men.
And I think for women who have been cheated on, I think talking about it, it needs to be talked about, because, I don't know about you, but for me personally, like, it's been a huge help to heal. Like, it's actually,
It
even my
does.
therapist has said, you talking about it, although a lot of people disagree and are like, I can't believe you keep talking about this and you're posting on social media, it helps you heal faster because you're not keeping it in. So
Yeah.
you're constantly talking
Right?
about it. And
Oh
so
my
you're letting
God.
it out, and you're like saying to this person, like, this is my experience, what's your experience? And you're going back and forth, so it's not just building up in you, because I've had women say, you know, I didn't say anything and my family still doesn't know, because that's the other thing, is like we talked about earlier, we want to protect our husbands.
We
I don't
do.
want my family to dislike
To hate him, to the,
Yeah.
oh,
and I'm
because
just like,
that can end a marriage.
Yes.
By itself, that tension. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
so glad. Thank you for bringing up that internalizing the feelings, because that was another reason I wrote my book. Because I told you what inspired me to finish this book is what happened to Khloe Kardashian a couple of years ago. And I swear I'm not trying to rehash that old argument, but it really was the inspiration for why I finished my book, because I had started it years ago. But when she had tweeted that, you know, Jordan was the reason that her family broke up, and she got all that backlash, probably 100% from women. I've read them.
Yeah.
It had Khloe in tears when I actually saw that episode of the show, how it flipped back on her, and it's your man's fault, and why are you blaming the woman? Shame on you for blaming. When I saw that, I was like, what is the matter with my sisters? I'm almost 50. I have never met a woman who has been cheated on who didn't on some level blame the other woman. I knew women that blamed the other woman, and the other woman didn't even know she existed. They still blamed her.
Yeah.
So why it's so taboo, why it's just so wrong to blame the other woman. When I saw that happen to Khloe, I said, enough is enough. I'm going to stand up for Khloe. I'm going to stand up for now the Jenayes. I'm going to stand up for all the wives out there who have been forced to internalize this anger towards the other woman because we've been told we can't blame the other woman. I said, well, I am.
Yes.
I'm blaming her. I'm not blaming her for what he did. I'm blaming her for what she did.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, and for everyone watching this, you can disagree because there will be
You're
people.
wrong.
There will be people. There will be people who disagree, but as we've been talking about, unless you've lived it, like you will always play a part because you are an adult and you took those steps and made those actions,
You
and
made
you
a
have to be
choice.
accountable.
That's
that doesn't
it.
mean you are, again, a bad mistress. There are different levels. There are the people who are apologetic and have hearts and
most of the mistresses that I wrote in the book, as you read, most of them were remorseful.
We like them.
We love them. We
Because
thank those sisters.
Exactly. You thank them and you're like, thank you for telling me and thank you for feeling that way
Thank
and
you
letting
for
me
caring.
know. Like, yes,
Thank you for
caring
caring about me.
Or,
you just gave me goosebumps.
Yeah,
exactly.
or
Thank you for caring about me.
Or I know a lot of people disagree, but the kids, because and that's why people reached out, especially people who were kids of families that happened. The kids get affected, you guys. Whether the mistresses want to believe it or not, or people who have never experienced this want to believe it or not, the kids are affected. Now, my kids, my 12-year-old, affected. She's in therapy. She's talking about it. My 1 and 4-year-old have no clue whatsoever.
They pick up on tension.
Yes. And that's exactly why when I found out, I came to my mom's so I could deal with it, cry on my own, like in a room, so they wouldn't like feed off of that. So, you know, it's something that I just wish, I wish there was a magic wand. I could be like, fix it.
Right. And we do. And whether women like to admit it or not, because we're supposed to all be these powerhouse of women, and we are, we can be empowered and powerful and still vulnerable and hurt and weak and broken. We can be all of those things and still get through it. What I want us, though, is to get to the place where, like I say in the book, if a woman's husband wants to cheat, it doesn't matter if if every woman on the street says no. He's unfaithful in his heart.
Yes.
That's not going to change. But at least if a husband and wife get a divorce because he doesn't want to be faithful, at least she can turn to her sisterhood because her sisterhood didn't betray her.
Yes.
Another woman didn't betray her. Right now, we can't even turn to the sisterhood that we need for strength because we don't trust each other.
Yeah, and that's it's interesting that you brought that up because I live in the same town as the woman, obviously, that he cheated with, and I'm new.
Girl, mine was right around the corner.
Yeah, so I'm always scared, like, when I'm in these groups and stuff, I'm like, well, are they friends with her? Like, if I hang out with them, are they actually only hanging out with me?
The distrust gets worse, doesn't it?
It really
gets
does.
Worse.
It messes with your head.
It does.
Whether you want it to or not. And it's not obviously intentional, but it's just something that's always, like, in the back of your head. And I want to take this, like, interview to say, like, there's no right and wrong for what you decide to do.
No.
Because
absolutely not.
So many people are like, well, that's wrong, or this is wrong. Again, there's 1,000 different things that go into every situation, and I'm not going to sit there and tell a woman that she should stay. Okay, if you're getting beat and like, leave.
Please. But
Leave.
I'm with you I will never tell a woman, stay with your husband, leave your husband.
No,
that is
that's-
a personal
Yeah, and
decision.
there's 1,000 things that go into it. And
I think if you can fix a marriage, and you're both willing to put in the work, then fight for it. Instead, like I said, I was willing to stay with my husband even though he had gotten his mistress pregnant.
well, so I'll say this here because people ask me all the time on Instagram, TikTok, and I never reply. So James and I are in therapy together, and then family therapy with our oldest. And I don't know what's going to happen. I have not filed for divorce. I mean, our lease gets up in March, but I don't want to sit here and say it's over, because it's not, because I am like you, and despite what some family and friends have said, like, I took a vow,
That's
even
your
though
husband.
he
For
broke
better or
a
for
vow.
worse.
Yes, I understand, because people are going to come back and be like, he broke the vow.
He
I know.
did, but that doesn't change who you are.
Exactly. And, you know, it takes work. Marriage is work.
On a
Marriage
good day.
is work. Yes.
On a good day,
Like,
it takes work.
It's exhausting. Okay? And, you know, that's a problem is I'm totally that girl, love my Hallmark movies, super cheesy, and love my, like, and love Disney movies, but that's not real life. Like, it's hard. And it's not a sitcom either. Like,
It's not.
So, therefore, I am putting in the work, and I'm doing the therapy because I have to see if I'm going to be able to
Yeah.
trust him again.
Yeah.
Like, I'm giving it time. I'm not making that call, like,
And
that
don't
day.
you love? I love the weird reality. People think that it's for the cheating person to earn the trust back. That's not realistic. The reality of it is, it's just for us to get it back.
Yes, exactly. You have to be willing to, like, get to that place, and it takes time. Like, it's not overnight. It's not like, oh, well, I woke up today and I trust you again.
People think the burden of trust is on the cheater. No.
No.
The burden of getting trust back and having it come back, the burden is on us.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be.
No.
Should be, but that's the
Unfortunately,
that's the reality
you
of it.
have to be ready for it because since people don't talk about cheating a lot, I don't know that people know this, but it's a roller coaster every day. So, like, got a lot of comments. People are like, you seem so happy and you seem like it doesn't even bother you. Okay, that's a good day recording 30 seconds of my life. Okay? Like, that does not mean that's how it is every day. There's days I cry. There's days I just get mad. There's days I think
Just
of stuff.
silent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
think of stuff that happens and I bring it up. I mean, there's no right or wrong way to deal with this. And I said that in one of my videos, is I think, you know, I'm happy you wrote this. And I said, what's funny is in my video, I was like, no one's written a book about this.
And then here I come.
Yeah, I was wrong.
Would you read my book?
So, you know, this isn't, like I said, like telling you exactly how to handle it because
No.
everything's different. But this helps you heal by reading, hey, I'm not alone. Hey, these other people have had this happen. Like, other women want to be there for other women and aren't horrible people.
Even the mistresses, some of
Yes,
the mistresses in the
exactly.
book. It makes you go realize that even because there were some mistresses who knew he was married, but after while they were writing their letter for the book, it was making them view themselves,
Yeah.
and they didn't like what they were writing. Like, there was one mistress, I read her letter time and time again because she started off trying to justify why she stayed with him,
And just not.
but by the
Yeah.
end, she literally was holding herself accountable by the end of the letter, and she was like, I wonder is that why this author wanted us to do this, so that we could read our own words. She said, I started off trying to justify my actions, and now I get to the end and I can't do that.
Well, yeah, and that's so much growth in
a letter.
Yeah, in letters like that. It's crazy to read because it is healing reading this because, as I said, all mistresses, because there are different levels, are not bad. And, like, you know, unfortunately, we have a club as wives that we all don't really want to be in, but we're all there for each other because we understand on a level that other people don't. And that's why, as someone that's happened to, I'm not going to sit here, because I've had multiple people I know who I went to high school with and friends who would never post about it. But they've said, you know, my husband's cheating. What do you do? And all I can write them and say, this is how I've handled it, that doesn't mean that's right for you. I mean, you really have to sit there and, like, break it down, what is right for you.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why we're here. We're even saying to you mistresses, you intentional mistresses, you ones who intentionally go after husbands, we're saying come talk to us.
Yeah.
Talk to us and help us to understand your thought process of messing around, knowingly messing around with another woman's husband. Come into this sisterhood, be honest, let us know why, so we can talk together and say, hey, this is how this affects me, this is how it affects our children. I even say in there, you know, as women, we're passing down this mistress thing to these younger girls who are to be the next generation of women. So they're doing the same thing. We're teaching them that all is fair in love and war. Go for what you want, who you want, no matter who gets hurt. We can't keep doing that.
Yeah, and if you're sitting there thinking to yourself, should I write the wife? Write the wife. Write her. Write her. And first of all, don't come off like mean, because that's not going to go well. But say, you know, I debated writing you.
I just want you to know.
Yeah, I want to have a conversation if you're up for it. I mean, leave it up to them. Because I've also had people say, especially if they think their person is cheating, should I say something to the mistress? And my answer always is, yeah, that's what I did. If I didn't, I wouldn't know. It's better to know and be sad and sadly get to rock bottom and then come back up from the ashes like, you know, a phoenix. Then, yeah.
I had to climb up to get to broken.
Yeah.
I really think I was this close from just having myself locked up, because I was emotionally and mentally gone. I was devastated.
Well, it gives you PTSD, whether you think it does or not, because there are places, because I knew that they went there, that I will not go. And I'm just like, nope.
I'm gonna ask you a really personal question, sis.
Okay.
Did you read the part of my book where I said where that PTSD really kicks in? When they've cheated and you're making love to your husband and you just burst into tears, because for me, all I could see was him looking at her the way he was looking at me. And so in our most intimate moment, I lost it.
See, for me, it wasn't, and yes, for me it wasn't that. So yes, we've been intimate for those who
I got it out.
Yeah, it's when, like, before, like, thinking about, like, the way he, like, touches me or whatever, like, not even, like, having sex, you guys. But,
yeah.
But, like, I'm like, did you do that with her? Like, and you don't want to think that. You don't want those thoughts in your head, and it doesn't matter. I know eventually time will pass, and, like, I hope I stop thinking about it, but the problem is you never really do. Like,
and it's still
just
very
something,
fresh.
Yeah,
it's
you have to do it. Yes, this happened in July, okay? It's almost
that's
December.
so very fresh.
Yeah. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm blunt. And so that's the thing, is even our therapist told him, like, you have to be prepared that she's randomly going to be like, did you do this?
And you have a right to be.
And she said that to him. She's like, you can't get mad. You have to be like, I'm sorry that these feelings are coming up. I'm sorry that you're feeling that way. I'm sorry that, but absolutely, it makes you uncomfortable doing things that you would have been comfortable doing without even batting an eye.
Like he used to, when we drove in the car, he would hold my hand in the middle console, or sometimes he'd kiss me on the forehead, and the thought, and like you said, it doesn't have to be sex, it's those other intimate moments.
And you're like, wait.
Are you doing that?
Yeah.
And that's heartbreaking.
It hurts.
Because those are the little things that are really supposed to just be for
special.
us.
Special.
Yeah, and then find out that it's what you use to get everybody, or how you treat it's like, so then what was I? What am I?
So, I haven't said it on TikTok, so also you're finding this out here first. Sold my wedding ring. Wow. And I will not ever celebrate our wedding date ever again, because that's the night he cheated on me. So.
Oh, that's hard, sis.
So, if we do stay together, we will have to renew our vows, and it will be a different day, and I'll have a different ring.
Good
because,
for you.
And lots of people in my family were like, I can't believe you're going to sell your ring. I don't want any reminder
of that.
of that. If
Of
we're
the first marriage,
yeah,
kind
if
of.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If we're gonna continue on, we need a fresh start. We need fresh vows, fresh
Good for you.
ring, fresh everything, because I made him sell his too.
I'm gonna give you a beautiful wedding dress. I have wedding
you.
dresses. I have some stunning wedding dresses. You heard it here. So if she comes back and like Tisha said and she didn't, I do have some. So that's gonna be my thank you gift to you for coming. I'm gonna give you one of the
Thank you.
wedding dresses. I'll fit you beautifully. So yeah, you'll get to see that. But in closing, of course, I have to thank you for being here. But let me ask you this. Do you have any, it's still so fresh for you, and after reading the book, do you have any idea how we can heal our fractured sisterhood?
I mean, other than just talking, I think we need to be, I mean, obviously it consists of talking, but I think we need to be more honest with each other. Like, for example, if you are, so for example, Chelsea was out with friends. I wish that friend would have been like, do not take this person home. Or she would have said, he's married and I'm going to do this. And if she had said that to the friend would have said, you don't do that
To another woman.
You do not.
Thank you. Exactly.
No.
That's what sisterhood is.
Yeah, and been like, get in the car and we're going home. Because I don't
you
know
wouldn't
if
want another woman to do this to you.
Yeah, and that's just it, is she has kids, too. Lots of women who are mistresses have kids. Here's the best advice I can give to everyone that's done it. If you don't want it to happen to your daughter or your son, and you would be heartbroken if they hurt like that, do not hurt someone else like that. Because that's the reality. They're going to grow up eventually. They're not going to be little kids.
Did you like my scenario with the mother who had to deal with the daughter who was the mistress and the daughter whose husband was cheating?
Yeah,
it was hypothetical, whereas like this mother was a mistress. She had a daughter come to her who was a mistress. So of course she's going to be okay with her daughter's actions. But then what do you do
Yeah.
when your other daughter comes and she's dealing with the mistress? What are you going to tell her in order to not be a hypocrite if you've been a mistress yourself? So we're passing down these destructive patterns from girl to girl, from woman to woman. So like you said, we have to talk about it. And I will be doing, my Clubhouse talks, hopefully more interviews like this. I'm going to be doing some symposiums, hopefully when things open back up, with the beautiful award-winning journalist and TV host, Miss Bridget Smith. We're just going to go around and bring women together. They're going to read the book first, and then we're going to come together and we're going to talk about it. We're going to keep things real, respectful, but real, because I'm sick of the fake stuff. I don't do fake and the stupid stuff really well. I need you to come. I need you to be real. I need you to say what you think, what you feel, even if you don't agree.
Yeah, I think that's going to be received really well, especially if you can get, and I hope she gets, a variety of people who have been, even if they're not anymore, have been a mistress. Like, why did you do that? And even if, so like, that's what I always wonder. Like, millions of people cheat every day, which is like mind blowing. But how do you cheat? Stop cheating, which, bravo, glad you did, but not say anything. I mean, is that in the back of their head? You know what I mean? Like, like, do they like wake up and think, well, I wonder if I should have said something and their life would have been different, or things like that. Like, that is what I'm interested to hear and see. That's the outcome of like everyone getting and talking together, because I personally want to know those questions.
Well,
and I don't have
you'll
anyone.
be able to come to some, because we're going to hold them in Texas, because Bridget lived in
Yeah.
Texas. So you will definitely be one of our guests up on the panel.
Awesome.
One of the key speakers. And and actually I'm glad she said that, because if you are a wife who has been or are being cheated on and you want to talk to me and you want to interview, reach out to me. If you have ever been a mistress or are currently a mistress or are considering being a mistress, reach out to me if you want to talk. I'm honest and I'm real, but I'm respectful. I'm not going to call you out of your name. Too old for that. I'm not going to do that. But I do want to talk to you. I want to have a real conversation with you. So reach out to me. I'm on Instagram at LeTisha S. Jackson. On TikTok, I think same thing, LeTisha S. Jackson.
Yeah.
I think that's my name across the board. You can go to my website, LeTishaJackson.com. Just reach out to me and say, hey, I want to talk to you. And I'll be happy to do that, again, from a sisterly place, just so we can keep talking, woman to woman.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, my beautiful sister, for coming here.
Thank
It is
you.
amazing. Come from Texas. You just happen to be coming from Texas anyway. And her mom
Obviously,
lives,
God wanted it to take place. Everything happens for a
right?
reason. This
Her
is proof.
mom lives like nowhere from me. She was like, hey, I'm going to be in Arizona. I was like, what? What are you saying right now? So that worked out perfect. But my followers are, I know, are going to thank you. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for reopening this book. For me, for all of us, really, to get just a little more deeper insight and understanding of what you've gone through and how you see the sisterhood thing. And I am so sorry that another one of our sisters had to go through that. I am so sorry. But we're going to fix this.
Yes, we are.
We're going to fix this so that our sisters in the future, hopefully, won't feel this pain.
No, we don't want anyone to hurt or feel the way we felt. And that's the whole reason for her book and why she's doing that. And she's a safe place. So I want to say, for the people who like don't want to maybe do like an interview like this, reach out to her and just say like anything. Like if you
keep it in
feel alone,
confidence, yeah.
because that's just it, is you have to start the conversation. I mean, and it will continue to flow once you do.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Jenaye, for being here. I love you. I appreciate you. And I will always be here for you. So
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure.
thank you. So thank you guys for turning in. Hope you enjoy this first episode of Woman to Woman with your host, LeTisha Jackson, and my special and beautiful guest, Jenaye Nicole Smith. And of course, we wish you and your family the best.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Bye.
Bye.